Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new webinar in the Green Fashion Dialogue series. I'm Simona Vettore, a junior expert in circular economy and part of the STARS project team. In this episode, we'll explore some fundamental concepts to better understand and clarify the many terms we often encounter during our interviews and discussions. Terms like sustainable fashion, ethical fashion, and circular fashion can easily become confusing. So, our goal today is to shed some light on them. This will be a conversation packed with valuable insights and ideas, especially for those looking to start their own sustainable fashion project. So, grab your cup of coffee or tea and let's begin. First, we'll refresh our understanding of the impact of the fashion industry. Then, move on to clarify key concepts like sustainable fashion, ethical fashion, and circular fashion. We'll also deep dive into the greatest impact of production is linked to design. This is a crucial point if you're thinking of starting your own brand, because it's where you have full control to make it truly sustainable and mindful of its environmental and social impact. In this segment, we'll talk about eco-design and the key features to consider in order to minimize the impact of your products while bringing value to your customers. This approach is not just theoretical, it's already happening, feasible, and effective. We all know at least one brand recognized for its sustainable approach, from Patagonia to Stella McCartney, People Tree, Reformation, and beyond. But I believe there's a need to reinvent the concept of fashion and find a new way to engage with it. We need to think outside the box. For this reason, we'll explore circular business models that offer a fresh perspective on fashion. I hope they will inspire you. However, before diving into these models, we need to start with the basics. If you're already familiar with this concept, feel free to skip directly to the final section on innovative business models. So, impacts. To set the tone for today's discussion, let me start with a metaphor. Imagine the fashion industry as Dorian Gray, the protagonist of the famous novel by Oscar Wilde. On the outside, it's glamorous, innovative, and full of allure, constantly evolving to dazzle the world. But behind this polished surface lies a darker portrait: environmental damage, unethical practices, and a fast-paced system that often prioritizes profit over people and planet. Just like in the story, this portrait is hidden from the public eye, while the industry external beauty remains untouched. But the truth is, this hidden side cannot be ignored forever. Since 2013, the year of the tragic Rana Plaza collapse, a spotlight has been shining on the fashion world, but not on the glamorous catwalks. It's focused instead on the backstage of production and the industry shadows. Today, it's widely acknowledged that the fashion sector is among the most polluting industries. But what does that actually mean? The most well-known and cross-cutting issue in fashion is its environmental impact. From raw material production to the end of a garment's life, the industry consumes vast amounts of water, occupies extensive land, and releases various pollutants. These include not only CO2, the molecule responsible for the greenhouse effect, but also other harmful emissions and polluted wastewater. Take, for instance, pesticides used in the cotton farming or heavy metals involved in fabric treatment like dyeing and finishing. On top of that, the use of synthetic fabrics leads to significant release of microplastics. This issue persists even during garment use. Every time we wash synthetic clothes, they shed microplastic fibers and require chemical detergents, compounding the problem. And then comes the end of life stage. Most of our clothes are made from blended fibers, synthetic and natural, which makes recycling extremely challenging. Currently, only about 1% of global textile waste is recycled into new garments, reflecting both insufficient recycling infrastructure and poor product design for recyclability. As a result, discarded clothes from consumers often end up in landfills or incinerators. Moreover, the globalized nature of fashion production adds another layer to its impact. The various stages of production are scattered across the globe, requiring extensive transportation between facilities, each step contributing to CO2 emissions into the atmosphere. The tragic collapse of the Rana Plaza building in 2013, which claimed the lives of over 1,000 garment workers, exposed the inhumane conditions endured by factory employees, primarily women, working in the fashion supply chain, especially in Southeast Asia. According to the Clean Clothes campaign, factory managers frequently pressure workers to endure grueling shifts of 10-12 hours a day, often stretching to 16-18 hours as order deadline approach, with no breaks and working 7 days a week. Despite these exhausting hours, wages are often far below a living wage, leaving workers unable to meet even their most basic needs. In countries like Bangladesh, China, and India, the minimum wage covers only one fraction, between one fifth and one half, of what a family requires to survive. For instance, in Bangladesh, garment workers earn as little as 33 cents per hour, while in India the average wage in sweatshops is approximately of 58 cents per hour. Workplace safety is another critical issue. Investigation by initiatives such as Fashion Revolution and Greenpeace have revealed the widespread existence of sweatshops, small, overcrowded manufacturing units where workers face exploitative and unsanitary conditions. These facilities often expose workers to harmful substances, such as toxic chemicals, without adequate ventilation, leading to respiratory and other health issues. Additionally, accidents and injuries are alarmingly common due to unsafe equipment and neglected safety protocols. On the demand side, consumers are buying more and more clothing, but using it less and less. As shown in the chart, the average number of times a garment is worn has significantly decreased, while global clothing sales have doubled from 2000 to 2015, increasing from around 50 billion to over 100 billion units. This reflects a shift in consumer behavior, driven by greater affordability, the pressure of fast fashion, and aggressive marketing strategies that encourage rapid and continuous consumption. This phenomenon is deeply rooted in the consolidation of capitalism, which introduced the concept of planned obsolescence. By shortening the lifespan of products, companies drive consumers to repurchase more frequently, ensuring ongoing economic benefits. In the fashion industry, the price of a product can be broken down into two main categories: the price to the consumer and the cost of production. The latter consists of three key elements: raw materials, labor, and the environmental impact. Fast fashion has built its business model around minimizing consumer prices, while speeding up production cycles to satisfy ever changing trends. However, this approach fuels a dangerous problem: overconsumption. Platforms like Shein and Temu epitomize this issue by leveraging social media and influencers' partnership to normalize excessive spending. For example, campaigns often encourage viewers to spend like a billionaire, glorifying an unsustainable lifestyle that perpetuates waste. So, how can we break this cycle? Step back from the constant flow of information designed to trigger the desire to buy, such as old videos showcasing excessive purchase. And then remember that brands do not care about what you want to wear. Their profits come from the confusion and insecurity of not knowing what we wear, pushing consumers toward impulsive decisions. Aggressive overconsumption starts with rethinking how we engage with fashion and its marketing narratives. Empowering consumers to make intentional, informed choice is key to challenging the fast fashion system. As you can see, we need to address this problem because it affects all of us. From the consumer side, individuals have the power to reconsider their purchasing habits and their relationship with fashion by adopting a more conscious approach. This means prioritizing quality over quantity, understanding that it's neither feasible to pay such low prices for a garment nor acceptable to demand transparency from brands while continuing to treat clothes as disposable items. Consumers can make a difference by choosing to value durability and ethical production over sheer consumption. From the brands and producer side, they have a responsibility to be more transparent and accountable for the impacts they generate along their value chain and production processes. This includes reducing environmental harm and enduring ethical working conditions. Adopting sustainability policies is not only a way to meet consumer expectation, but also offers a competitive advantage in the market. And finally, from the policymaker side, legislators and governmental institutions play a crucial role in defining regulations that encourage sustainable practices in the fashion industry. Establishing rules that promote the use of eco-friendly materials, waste reduction, and the protection of workers' rights is essential to guide the industry toward more sustainable models. But let's not feel overwhelmed. There are many practical solutions and ways to create sustainable fashion. Yet, what does sustainability mean and how does it apply to such a complex sector as fashion? A brief historical overview. The first time this term was used in an economic context was in the 1987. Gro Harlem Brundtland, then chair of the World Commission on Environmental and Development for the United Nations, presented the report Our Common Future, where the concept of sustainable development was defined as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This definition does not directly address environmental impact, but highlights a fundamental ethical principle, the responsibility of the current generation toward future generation. It touches upon at least two aspects of sustainability: the preservation of resources and the environmental balance of our planet. When transferring this definition to the context of fashion, it means addressing interconnected systems such as economic, financial, social, cultural, and ecological ones. It requires considering fashion from the perspective of various stakeholders, both socially, users and producers, and environmentally, taking into account the present and future ecosystems of our planet. The term sustainable fashion thus reflects an awareness of systemic influences and the complex long term interconnections between materials, social, and cultural contexts in fashion. Sustainable fashion is therefore attentive to all aspects related to the environment, the well being of the people involved throughout the supply chain, from production to purchase, as well as corporate responsibility and transparency. A synonymous term often used is ethical fashion. Other labels are often used in this context as well. Eco-fashion refers to fashion that primarily focuses on the environmental impact of production, emphasizing the use of fabrics made from low-impact raw materials. Eco-friendly fabrics include organic cotton, organic linen, hemp, and alpaca wool. Also included in this category are recycled fabrics and innovative materials such as bamboo fiber, tencel, or fabric derived from fruit waste, such as orange fiber and pinatex. These eco-friendly fibers are often grown without the use of pesticides or chemical fertilizers, require less water and energy for production, and do not contain harmful substances that could be detrimental to health. Similarly, vegan fashion is part of this movement, encompassing garments that do not use animal derived fibers, like silk or wool, that can be replaced with man made products such as acrylic or rayon. And others replace leather with alternatives of plant based or synthetic origin, especially PVC. Ideally, materials such as pineapple fiber, mushrooms, or cork are used as sustainable alternatives to leather. When we talk about eco friendly fibers, we are referring to a wide range of materials produced with care for our planet. However, it is important to note that being an eco friendly brand does not necessarily mean ensuring fair wages or safe working conditions for laborers. Additionally, eco friendly does not always account for impacts arising from the garment's use phase, such as the need for frequent high temperature washing or dry cleaning, or its end of life. For example, garments made from mixed fibers often cannot be recycled, leaving incineration of landfill or landfill as the only options. Fair fashion refers to the practice of producing clothing items free from violations of human rights, animal welfare, and environmental standards. In simple terms, fair fashion ensures that workers are paid fair wages, work under safe conditions, and are treated with dignity and respect. Another term often encountered is slow fashion. In direct opposition to the widespread fast fashion industry, this concept was coined by professor and activist Kate Fletcher. She defines slow fashion as quality based rather than time based. Slow fashion merges a brand's sustainable practices and commitments with consumers' mindful shopping habits. This type of fashion rejects fleeting trends and instead focuses on a curated selection of high quality garments that are versatile and suitable for various occasions. Finally, let's explore the concept of circular fashion. This approach focuses on the product's life cycle, from production to its end of life stage, aiming to eliminate waste and ensure that the resources used can either be reabsorbed by the earth or reintegrated into the production system. Our current production system is based on a linear approach. Raw materials are extracted or cultivated, processed to create products, sold, used by consumers, and discarded when no longer needed or desired. Statistics reveals that every year 92 million tons of textile waste are produced globally, with the EU alone generating an estimated 6.95 million tons of textile waste in 2020, equivalent to approximately 16 kilograms per person. This includes primarily old clothes, items of items of clothing that are damaged, no longer fit or unwanted, and stock waste, unsold and out of season items from retailers. The primary causes of fashion and clothing waste are overproduction, overstocking, and overconsumption. The rising demand for fast fashion promotes a disposable and throwaway culture. Moreover, inadequate end-of-life solutions for textile exacerbate the problem. Cheap clothing often encourages people to buy garments, wear them a few times, and then purchase new items without giving it a second thought. For damaged clothing, it's often cheaper and more convenient to replace rather than repair, further contributing to waste. Retailers also play a role in generating waste due to over-ordering and inefficient inventory management. The responsibility, therefore, is widely distributed. Globally, 57% of discarded clothing ends up in landfills, while 25% is incinerated. On the other hand, only 8% of all clothes are reused, and just 10% are recycled. Alarmingly, less than 1% of clothing waste is recycled into new garments, largely due to the limitation and challenges faced by existing recycling systems. Every discarded resource represents a waste of energy, water, raw materials, and ultimately money. For this reason, the circular economy is structured around a hierarchy that places landfilling as the least desirable option, while it emphasizes the four R's: refuse, reuse, recycle, and recovery. Let's explore this concept in more detail as applied to the fashion industry. Refuse. This means refraining from producing or purchasing what is unnecessary. For consumers, it translates to asking oneself, do I really need another black t shirt or yet another sweater in a slightly different shade of gray? For producers, it involves manufacturing fewer items and offering a more streamlined selection, perhaps with models that are only slightly differentiated. Reuse and rewear. This involves using the same product multiple times, whether for its original purpose, alternative uses, or by sharing it with others, thereby extending the product's life cycle. As a producer, you can encourage this approach by demonstrating how pieces from previous collection can still pair beautifully with new ones. You might also consider offering repair and alteration services, fostering product longevity. We'll dive deeper into this aspect when we discuss eco design later on. Recycle. This refers to the breaking down a product to reuse its raw materials in new products. Recycling in fashion industry is still at a early stage, but there's a significant innovation and momentum in the field. The main challenge lies in the current technology, which cannot yet recycle textile at a macro level due to the sheer volume of materials produced. Mixed fibers pose an additional hurdle, as they complicate the creation of new yarn. In general, recycled fibers tend to be shorter and harder to weave effectively, resulting in lower quality outputs compared to virgin materials. This means the fiber may lose their tensile strength and elasticity during the recycling process, making them less suitable for high quality textiles. According to recent studies, there are 70 textile recycling companies in Europe. Most employ mechanical recycling, while a smaller number use chemical recycling. Mechanical recycling involves shredding fabric into fibers, which can then be spun into new yarns or used as raw materials for other products. This method often results in shorter fibers, reducing the quality of the material. Chemical recycling, on the other hand, breaks down fibers into their original molecular components, allowing them to be reprocessed into high quality fibers. While this method can be better handle mixed fiber textile, it is more expensive and energy intensive, limiting its widespread adoption. This category also includes upcycling, when the value of the product increases, and downcycling, when the recycled product has a lower value. For example, an upcycling initiative might involve turning discarded denim jeans into high-end tote bags, adding value through design and craftsmanship. In contrast, most recycled fibers are downcycled into items like cleaning rags or insulation materials. Another critical aspect is optimizing collection system to enable both high capture rates and better condition for reuse. For instance, improving pre-sorting by residents, separating reusable textiles from non-reusable ones, and providing better information and education could significantly enhance reuse and recycling rates. However, it is essential to remember that recycling is just one piece of the sustainability puzzle in fashion. It's not a standalone solution. Brands must tackle challenges related to scalability and cost, while integrating recycling into a broader strategy. This should include reducing overproduction, using sustainable materials, and managing inventory efficiently to create a truly circular fashion system. Recovery. This refers to extracting energy from materials that cannot be reused or recycled. Items that fail to find a purpose in the previous stages can be sent to waste to energy plants, where they are incinerated to generate thermal and or electrical energy. While not ideal, recovery ensures that even discarded materials contribute to the energy system, reducing the environmental footprint of waste. Circular fashion therefore emphasizes minimizing waste, extending the useful life of garments, and keeping raw materials such as fibers and fabrics within the production cycle for as long as possible. In this context, the European Union is taking steps to hold producers accountable for the entire life cycle of their garments. The policy aims to encourage production with reduced waste and a stronger commitment to recovery and circularity. Once again, the design phase, as we'll explore shortly, plays a crucial role in facilitating these outcomes. Not that we distinguished between the different types of sustainable fashion, it may seem like producing garments that adhere to this principle is a highly complex and almost unattainable goal. Especially in the beginning, when a brand or a fashion project is taking shape, it's normal and has been confirmed by various designers we've interviewed to focus on one aspect at a time. It's challenging to achieve 100% sustainability across all fronts right away. For instance, starting by collaborating with workshops that ensure fair and equitable wages for employees is a great step, even if it means using more readily available fabrics initially. Once the production system is well established, you can gradually incorporate materials with a lower environmental impact, or begin exploring methods for designing zero weight patterns. As, by the way, we discussed during our podcast with the founders of the ethical brand Naive Fly. Check it out. In short, it's perfectly fine to start by focusing on one aspect that resonates most with your values, as long as the underlying systemic and holistic approach remains in sight. And you, what kind of brand would you like to create? Let us know in the comments below. Now, let's dive deeper into each of these approaches. The environmental impact of a garment can be positively influenced at every stage of the production chain. From the selection of raw materials to circular options for the end of life, every decision contributes to the overall sustainability of the product. Let's start with a mindful choice of yarns, fabrics, and details, like buttons and zippers. When selecting raw materials, opting for low impact options is essential. Natural fibers such as organic cotton, linen, hemp, and wool from responsible farming reduces the use of pesticides and chemical fertilizers. Additionally, innovative fibers like Tenso, derived from wood pulp, mainly eucalyptus, and through eco-friendly processes, offer properties similar to wool. Tencel regulates body moisture, is softer, and has a smoother sheen. Other sustainable alternatives, as discussed in the chapter on sustainable materials, can also be considered. Regarding the use of recycled materials, such as recycled polyester from plastic bottles, I personally hold a critical perspective. Transformed plastic, once turned into fabric, cannot be recycled again at the end of its life cycle. Additionally, washing garments made from this synthetic fiber, but in general from any other synthetic fiber, such as polyester or nylon, releases significant amounts of microplastics into the water. These particles, too small to be effectively filtered by wastewater treatment plants, end up in drainage systems and eventually accumulate in seas, oceans, and rivers, causing severe consequences for aquatic ecosystems and human health. Instead, keeping it within the plastic production cycle is more advantageous and sustainable. An important element to consider when choosing fabrics and yarn is the presence of certifications that validate adherence to sustainability standards and ensure transparency throughout the production chain. Here are some of the most significant. The Global Organic Textile Standard is the gold standard for organic certification in the textile sector, issued by specific international organizations committed to environmental and social protection on a global scale. This certification distinguishes organic raw materials, particularly cotton, from non-organic ones. It guarantees that the fiber has been cultivated without the use of pesticides, chemical fertilizers, or toxic substances, which can persist on the product and in the environment, contributing to harmful phenomena like soil and water acidification. Moreover, pesticides are often applied without proper protection for farmers, or in quantities proven to increase the risk of cancers, chronic diseases, and cognitive delays in children living near agricultural areas. GOTS certification is obtained through both on-site inspections and analysis of yarn samples. Oecotex Standard 100 certifies that textile products, including yarn, fabrics, buttons, and zippers, are free from substances harmful to human health. This certification is issued by Oecotex, an independent association of research and testing institutes in the textile and leather sector, founded in 1992. It provides a range of certification aimed at ensuring product safety and sustainability in production processes. STEP by Oecotex, Sustainable Textile and Leather Production, focuses on certifying the sustainability of production conditions across the entire textile and leather supply chain. This certification evaluates aspects such as chemical management, environmental performance, social responsibility, quality, and workplace safety. Blue Sign. Blue Sign ensured that safe chemicals and processes for both the environment and workers are used throughout the production chain. It adopts a holistic approach by assessing the entire textile production process. Through rigorous on-site verification and evaluations, Blue Signs works with suppliers, manufacturers, and brands to optimize resource use, reduce emissions, and improve working conditions. Global Recycled Standard, or GRS, certifies the presence of recycled fibers comprising at least 20% of the total fabric used. It often complements the GOTS certification, as many companies holding GRS certification also meets GOTS standards. Responsible Animal Fibers, AF, certifies that animal fiber are sourced from responsible farming practices, ensuring animal welfare. Developed by the Textile Exchange, the RAF framework encompasses several standards to promote the responsible production of animal fibers in the textile industry. The most notable among these is the Responsible Wool Standards, RWS, a voluntary international certification that ensures the entire wool supply chain, from sheep farming to the final production stage, respects animal welfare, land health, and fair working conditions. A key feature of the RWS is its prohibition of cruel practices, like mulesing, a painful procedure used to prevent parasite infections in sheep. Additionally, the RAF framework includes standards specific to mohair wool and alpaca wool, each tailored to the unique requirements of their respective fiber sources. EU Ecolabel. The European Union's Ecolabel is a hallmark of environmental excellence awarded to products and services with a reduced environmental impact throughout their entire life cycle, from production to disposal. Established in 1992, the EU Ecolabel spans a wide range of categories, including detergents, appliances, paper, textiles, and tourism services. To earn the EU Ecolabel, products must meet stringent criteria set by the European Commission. These criteria address various environmental aspects, such as energy efficiency, emissions reduction, sustainable use of natural resources, and restrictions on hazardous chemicals. Developed in collaboration with experts, non-governmental organizations, and other stakeholders, the criteria ensure a scientific and transparent approach to promoting sustainability. By choosing EU Ecolabel certified products, consumers and businesses contribute to a greener and more responsible consumption pattern. And finally, the B Corp certification is a designation that confirms a company meets high verified standards of social and environmental performance, accountability, and transparency. To obtain this certification, a company must complete an assessment and achieve a minimum score of 80 over 100 in the B Impact Assessment and pass a risk review, demonstrating strong social and environmental performance. And then meet legal requirements, incorporate stakeholder commitment into corporate governance documents. And finally, pay an annual fee. The amount varies based on the company's annual revenue. This certification is gaining popularity as an indicator of genuine commitment to responsible business practices. While not perfect, it reflects a company's concrete efforts toward sustainability and ethical operations. It's important to note that obtaining the certification can be a costly process for companies, which may deter some from pursuing it, even if their products are produced sustainably. Short supply chains often enable direct relationships with suppliers, providing a level of trust without formal certification. Additionally, certifications are voluntary and can increase the final price of a product. The next step is design. In general, the design phase serves to decide how a product is constructed, find ways to reduce production costs, create a visually appealing product, define how a product functions and will be used, ensure profitability for the manufacturer. We know that 80% of a product's impact during the production phase can be mitigated at the design stage. This aspect became even more significant in light of what we discussed so far. The garments currently on the market tend to have a short lifespan and a significant environmental impact. How can we take actions? This leads to three key actions that could help shift away from a throwaway culture for clothes: scaling up short-term clothing rental, making durability more attractive, and increasing clothing utilization through brand commitment and policy changes. Producing higher quality clothes would enhance their durability and increase the number of times they are worn. The expected result will be a reduction in resource consumption and environmental impact. For example, doubling the use of a single garment could reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 44%. Fashion items tend to have a short lifespan, primarily due to the obsolescence of desirability. According to Ellen MacArthur Foundation report, 26% of clothing is discarded because the owner no longer likes it, 42% because it no longer fits, 99% due to damage or wear, and another 7% because it's no longer needed, often purchased for a specific occasion. While these figures are based on UK data, they likely reflect trends seen across the broader Western population. Professor Kate Fletcher highlights the importance of emotionally durable design. She defines an emotionally durable product as one that fosters an emotional attachment with its user, giving it meaning and creating an experiential connection. This approach aims to reduce waste and extend the lifespan of clothing by making it more than just a functional or aesthetic item. To achieve this effect, the product should possess certain characteristics: sharing a personal story with the user. Think about the dress you wore to your graduation or during another significant moment like a t-shirt from your favorite band's concert. Being durable and aging gracefully over time, developing a tangible character. For instance, your mother's coat from her youth, which gains charm as it ages. Having a strong connection with the user. Consider consider an inherited hat from your grandfather, as shared during an interview with Alessandra Lopez Siroyo. And additional characteristics, not specific to fashion but applicable with creativity, like providing the user with the pleasure of discovery, such as a garment that can be transformed using zippers or buttons, offering versatility and surprise, or requiring new skills to maintain or use, like items that demand special care from the owner. For example, all leather shoes that involve a ritual of cleaning and conditioning with the appropriate cream. Furthermore, there are conditions not always within the designer's control. Designers can create the framework for a certain experience, but the subsequent journey depends entirely on the user's decisions. Particularly in clothing, durability does not seem to follow a specific formula, but is a latent quality in every piece, waiting to be uncovered by the wearer. This means it can apply equally to a concert t-shirt or an otherwise unremarkable jacket that evokes a specific feeling when worn. If you are interested in exploring this topic further, I highly recommend reading Kate Fletcher's paper Decentering Durability. Regardless of the emotional bond that may develop with a garment, um, designing a product based on eco-design principle means creating items that last longer, can be repaired, can be easily disassembled to separate their components, can be recycled. Design for durability means creating a product that doesn't easily break or fall apart. For instance, I have a coat that I adore, but its buttons keep falling off. This means using it frustrating, and it just sits in my closet because I never find the time to sew the buttons back on. It also means avoiding trendy designs, as once the trend fades, the likelihood of wearing that item again diminishes significantly. Choosing high quality materials is crucial. If a garment becomes worn out, looks shabby, or loses its shape, we stop wanting to wear it, just like those sweaters covered in pills or elastic pants that have stretched out over time. Durability also involves making the garment easy to clean. Avoid requiring dry cleaning. Opt for fabrics that can be washed in a washing machine at low temperatures. Consider whether bad embellishment might break and ruin the entire garment. Lastly, it means thinking about versatility. Imagine a piece that can transition seamlessly from office wear to a night out. Or think of children's clothing design that adapt to their rapid growth, especially for the youngest ones. Design for reparability means acknowledging that it's not always possible to prevent a product from breaking, but we can focus on identifying the parts most prone to wear and making them easy to replace. Remember, repairing is better than recycling. It saves resources and money. Think about shirts from the past, where collars and cuffs could be replaced. Consider seams in stress points that often tear or the linings of jackets that wear out and end up hanging loose. Even everyday items like white t-shirts come to mind, those that turn yellow under the arms from sweat, becoming unwearable. Designing with reparability in mind ensures a longer life for these garments and helps reduce waste. Design for disassembly is closely tied to the concept of reparability we just discussed. However, it also connects to the idea of modularity. We've recorded both a podcast and a webinar with Lily Hughes on modular fashion, which I highly recommend checking out. This approach involves designing products as a collection of easily separable parts, not just for repair, but also for replacement. A great example can be seen in footwear, where components like the heel sole, which wears out the fastest, can be replaced without discarding the rest of the shoe that is still in excellent condition. An innovative approach in this space comes from Resortex, which developed heat dissolvable stitching. This solution makes it easy to separate zippers and buttons from fabric, paving the way for more efficient repairs, recycling, and reuse. And then design for recycling. It means ensuring that the raw materials we choose can remain within the production loop. This involves selecting fabrics and materials that are recyclable or sourced from recycled materials, while carefully preserving their value, as previously discussed. Alternatively, it could mean designing products that are biodegradable, allowing them to turn to earth to nourish new crops. Naturally, a thoughtful design, high quality product will come at a higher cost. However, if we effectively communicate the benefits that the consumer, or rather the person choosing our product, will gain, they won't see the purchase as merely an expense, but rather as an investment. This perception often motivates them to take better care of the product, much like with certain accessories such as watches, handbags, or iconic pieces like Hermes scarves. And finally, we reach the end of our discussion. The most exciting, in my opinion, and most inspiring and interesting so far. The innovative business models. Designing a circular product means diversifying the revenue streams tied to the product's life cycle. It involves creating a business model that is itself circular, more efficient, and reduces environmental impact. Adopting a circular business model has become an increasingly popular approach in manufacturing to make systems more holistic and move away from the linear thinking of take, make, dispose. This approach also offers economic benefits, as it allows companies to diversify revenue streams and build resilience during periods when product sales might decline. Additionally, it helps reduce raw materials costs by focusing on the entire life cycle of a product. Businesses can discover new ways to keep their brand alive and strengthen the customer loyalty. Here are the main types of circular business models. Product use extension. This concept emphasizes that if a product is of good quality and designed to be durable, it doesn't necessarily have to be used by the same person forever. Fashion trends change, personal tastes evolve, and so do our bodies and needs. This is particularly relevant for children, pregnant women, and more broadly for anyone whose life circumstances lead them to stop wearing certain garments. Rather than discarding or letting these items collect dust in the back of a wardrobe, we can leverage marketplace to sell our pre-loved clothing. This model can also apply to selling leftover stock, fabrics and materials like buttons, yarns, and zippers. Many platforms, often local or national, cater to second-hand goods or surplus materials. Popular examples include Vinted or more niche platforms like Fiber Fabric. Some brands go a step further and establish their own dedicated exchange spaces. For instance, Infantium Victoria, which we discussed in a previous podcast with founder Dini van den Heuvel, has created its own system for facilitating such exchanges. Product as a service. In this category, we can include traditional services like repairs and alterations offered by tailors, but let's try to imagine something a little different. For example, workshops or classes could be offered to teach specific skills, from mending techniques to recognizing fabric types and reading care labels. Another interesting approach is pay-per-use. This model changes the concept of ownership. The product remains the property of the producer or manufacturer. It is designed to be durable and long-lasting, so it can be used by many people over time. This idea works particularly well for expensive clothing and accessories, especially for formal wear or special occasions, which are typically worn only a few times. For instance, Rent the Runway was a great success for a while, allowing people to rent designer garments at an affordable price, although it has recently struggled due to the shift of its own business model. In Italy, Dress Code is a similar example, offering a range of designer pieces for short-term use at accessible rates. This approach provides a way to enjoy high-quality fashion without the need for permanent ownership, aligning perfectly with the principle of circularity and sustainability. In 2019, another company began gaining traction with a similar concept, Nuuly. This service operates on a subscription model, allowing users to rent a limited number of items each month for less than $100. What sets Nuuly apart is its focus not just on formal wear, but also on casual pieces, perfect for the office or a night out with friends. Once the rental period is over, customers simply return the items, and Nuuly takes care of the cleaning. This hassle-free approach makes it convenient for users to refresh their wardrobe regularly while embracing a more sustainable way of consuming fashion. By combining affordability, variety, and ease of use, Nuuly demonstrates how the product as a service model can be successfully applied to everyday fashion, not just high-end or occasional wear. Alternatively, rental services can cater to medium to long-term needs, such as clothing for growing children. This is the concept behind many platforms like Rent a Romper, a website designed to assist parents with the costly challenges of dressing their rapidly growing kids. Finally, I want to point out another noteworthy services, Leasy.com, a software as a service company that empowers brands and retailers to launch rental and resale models in just a few weeks. Leasy's platform streamlines the entire rental cycle, handling everything from in-store and online rentals to shipping, returns, refurbishing, and even eventual resale. The platform flexibility allows businesses to adopt the circular model that best suits their needs, whether through subscription, one-off rentals, or on-demand services. Leasy's innovative solution has already been implemented by major companies such as Adidas, Meiji, Kiabi, and Decathlon, helping them take significant steps towards circularity and sustainability in their operations. Let's move on to resource recovery. This refers to the process of extracting raw materials from a product that is no longer in use or cannot be reused, and transforming them into a product that holds new market value. A very interesting example is Rifò. Rifò is an Italian sustainable brand that produces clothing using regenerated and recycled fibers. Their products are certified by the Global Recycled Standard, which ensure that at least 20% of the materials are made from pre-consumer and post-consumer recycled content. Everything begins with the decision to use only regenerated fibers, sourced from all cashmere sweaters, jeans containing at least 95% of cotton, and other industrial scraps. To achieve their goal, Rifò's team collaborates with various local businesses, such as Natura C stores, and private consumers to collect old wool sweaters and garments made from 100% wool, as well as second-hand materials, which are then used to create new pieces. As we mentioned, textile recycling is not an easy task. We discussed this topic with Valeria Sinuchkina, who works on this through her project, Be the Fiber. We also talk about this in our podcast, which you can find on our YouTube channel. Made to order. The made to order business model in the fashion industry involves producing garments exclusively upon order, avoiding the creation of predefined stock. This approach offers numerous advantages, both in terms of sustainability and customization. This is the business model chosen by the brand Malia Lab, which we recently interviewed. From this perspective, it is also an optimal approach for those starting their businesses. One can propose designs for which only a single prototype will be created to showcase to the public, followed by a pre-sale phase. This helps to understand which designs are most popular and prevents wasting time and resources on models that lack appeal to potential customers. Furthermore, it is the customers themselves, through pre-orders, who finance the production of their own garments, thus minimizing the initial investment. Digitalization. This refers to designing in development non-physical digital products and or services that replace, enhance, and complement users' fashion needs and aspirations. This can include websites and apps that provide information on where to buy vintage and second-hand clothes, or facilitate the research for sustainable brands, such as the Renew app. It also includes apps that help manage the clothes you already have in your closet, like the Acquired. And then there are the more visionary digital clothes, which can only be used online during video calls or to dress our virtual avatars. A few years ago, there was much talk about the Fabricant, a digital-only fashion house that fuses fashion and technology. Through digital fashion, they aim to show the world that clothing does not need to be physical to exist. Currently, they offer a service that turns sketches into photorealistic images or 3D renderings, as they are also working on the ability to generate patterns from their designs. We have reached the end of this extensive overview of concepts related to sustainable fashion and how to build an ethical, circular, yet valuable brand. A fundamental concept that gives meaning to everything we discussed so far is transparency. In this regard, some mandatory tools are being standardized, such as the Sustainability Report, which will provide companies with an opportunity to communicate various environmental, social, and management aspects of their operations, enabling a more straightforward comparison between different companies and fostering improvement and innovation. Another tool we will hear more about and which will gradually be introduced starting in 2025 is the Digital Product Passport. While it is still unclear how it will be implemented, its purpose is to provide a label that allows consumers to access a range of data, such as where the product was made, the raw materials used, how to care for it, and how to manage its end of life. In the meantime, however, we can be transparent by currently communicating our brand and the sustainable choices and actions we have implemented, even if they are not perfect. There isn't enough time to discuss sustainable communication in detail, but I encourage you to listen to the podcast in which, together with Sarakovic, we shared practical advice on this topic. Throughout this webinar, we focused on production, as that is the purpose of our project. However, the role of the consumer also has its impact, and we are all consumers. Buy more responsibly, avoid fast fashion when you can, avoid garments that require dry cleaning. Pay attention to labels just as you do when you go to the supermarket and read the labels of the products you put on your table and their origin. What fabric is it made of? It is a blend? Is it synthetic? Is it a mix of cotton and other natural materials? It will be helpful to have a guide to recognize fabric and remember that each one has its intrinsic properties. Some fabrics make us sweat more and are not suitable for warmer seasons, while others don't keep us warm and shouldn't be avoided during colder seasons. Some may even irritate our skin or prevent it from breathing, causing discomfort or problems. And that's it. Thank you for your attention. I hope this information has been helpful, and if you'd like to continue exploring, I invite you to check out our previous podcasts and webinars, where we cover many topics related to sustainable fashion and how to build an ethical fashion business. Come to visit us on our social media. In the info box, you will find links and references used to create this webinar and ways to stay updated on industry news. If you like, we can stay in touch on LinkedIn or by email. I wish you the best of luck with your projects, and bye for now.